Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime with Tiff. In part 1, we walked through the initial timeline of what happened on June 14th, 2026, the day 1-year-old Kohen Wiley was killed during an officer-involved shooting outside a Walmart in Sanatobia, Mississippi. We talked about the official account from authorities, the questions raised by Kohen's family, and why this case quickly became a national conversation. Today, we're continuing the timeline. We're looking at the community response, the family's push for answers, the investigation, and the evidence that both sides say support their version of events. As always, this case is still developing, so we're going to focus on what has been publicly reported and clearly separate confirmed facts from allegations. According to authorities, officers were called to the Walmart in Sanatobia after a report of a suspected shoplifting. The initial call involved allegations of stolen merchandise, including diapers. What began as a property-related investigation quickly became a deadly encounter. Police say that when officers approached the vehicle involved, the situation escalated. According to the official account, the vehicle moved towards officers, leading one officer to fire their weapon. Inside that vehicle was 1-year-old Kohen Wiley. The fact that a child was present during the shooting became one of the most painful and central issues in the aftermath. After Kohen's death, his family began demanding transparency. They called for the release of video evidence, including body camera footage and surveillance footage that could show exactly what happened. Their argument was simple. They believe the public deserves to see the evidence. Attorney Ben Crump became involved in representing the family and publicly questioned the circumstances surrounding the shooting. The family has disputed the police version of events and has argued that the shooting was not justified. However, investigators have not yet released a final determination, and the official findings remain pending. One major development in the case was the family's decision to have an independent autopsy performed. The family's attorney said the results raised questions about the trajectory of the bullet and the circumstances described by authorities. The family believes the findings support their concerns that the official explanation does not match what happened. Officials involved in the investigation have not publicly agreed with those conclusions, and the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation continues to review the evidence. Autopsy findings can become an important piece of an investigation, but they are only one part of a much larger picture. Investigators also consider witness statements, video evidence, ballistics, officer statements, vehicle movement, scene evidence. As news spread, emotions in Sanatobia grew. Community members gathered to protest and call for answers. Many people expressed anger and heartbreak that a 1-year-old child lost his life during a police response. Demonstrators called for the release of footage, a full investigation, and accountability if wrongdoing is found. The protest brought national attention to a small Mississippi town and placed additional pressure on officials to provide information. The officer involved was placed on administrative leave while the investigation continued. This is a common procedure after an officer-involved shooting and does not determine whether an officer acted appropriately or inappropriately. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation took over the investigation. Their role is to gather evidence and determine what happened based on the facts available. A major question in the investigation is whether the use of deadly force was legally justified under the circumstances. That determination depends on evidence, not public opinion, emotion, or assumptions, which we're all guilty of. Several questions remain unanswered. What exactly happened in the seconds before shots were fired? Was the vehicle actually moving towards officers, or was the situation interpreted differently? What does video evidence show? And will the investigation lead to criminal charges, policy changes, or civil litigation? These are questions that only the investigation and review process can answer. Behind every investigation is a family living with a loss they can never undo. I always try very hard to remind myself of this with every story I do, because sometimes we're all guilty of just reading like it's a story and not actually affecting people. So I try very hard to remind myself of that every time. Cohen's loved ones have continued to speak about him, not as a case file, but as a child, a baby, a son, a family member whose life ended far too soon. Regardless of the outcome of the investigation, the loss of a young child is something that will forever affect those who loved him. The death of Kohen Wiley has raised difficult questions about policing, accountability, and how authorities respond to high-pressure situations. But at the center of this case is a little boy whose life ended before it truly began. The investigation will determine what happened that day. Until then, it is important to remember that there are still unanswered questions and that facts must guide the conversation. In part 3, we'll cover the latest developments, what happens next in the investigations, possible legal outcomes, and the unanswered questions that remain. This is True Crime with Tiff. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.